All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a look at chosen ones. 7 signs. Your spiritual energy is scaring people.
Catchy title. Right.
Definitely grabbed your attention. Makes you wonder if maybe, sometimes our energy is a little much for some people.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting idea, that our energy can really have that kind of impact on others.
Totally. So, okay, first things first. What exactly are we talking about when we say spiritual energy?
Well, it's not just like vibes,
Right.
This article talks about it as a real force,
Yeah.
something you can feel,
Yeah.
something that can even, scare people.
Okay, interesting. So it's like measurable or something?
Not exactly measurable. I mean, not in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
But it's definitely presented as a real thing, like
Yeah.
a unique energy signature, kind of like a fingerprint.
Ah, so everyone's got their own, energy style.
Exactly. Shaped by our thoughts and feelings and, maybe our connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Makes sense.
It's like an aura,
Yeah, I get that. So then this aura, this energy, it can kind of freak people out. That's what the article's saying.
Well, think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the energy shift?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Some people are drawn in, others kind of back away. That's what they're talking about.
Huh. So that's like my energy doing that?
Could be. This article focuses on what they call high vibrational energy. That's where things get a little interesting.
High vibrational energy. Okay, so what's that exactly? Does it mean you're like super peppy all the time?
Haha, not necessarily. It's more about the frequency of your energy.
Hmm.
Like, sound waves have different frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. The article says that people with a higher frequency, it can, sometimes people find it a bit unsettling.
Sounds like I'm shaking things up energetically just by being myself.
That's the idea. And not everyone is comfortable with that.
Right, of course. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, is there, any science behind this? Or is this a purely spiritual stuff we're talking about here?
It's mostly presented from a spiritual angle, yeah. But there is some scientific interest in these ideas, like biofields and energy healing and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are studies showing that our bodies give off these measurable energy fields, and they can actually affect the people around us.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So even science is sort of backing up this idea of, invisible energy and all that.
Starting to, at least. There's still a lot we don't know.
For sure. So let's get back to this whole scaring people thing. The article mentions people feeling seen or exposed around someone with high vibrational energy. What's that all about?
Remember that frequency thing we were talking about?
Mhm.
Imagine your energy is like a really bright light.
Okay.
It can shine on parts of people that they'd rather keep hidden, like they're wearing a mask and suddenly you come along and poof, the mask is gone.
I see what you mean. So it's not that I'm trying to pry into their secrets or anything.
No, not at all.
It's just that my energy is so bright, it kind of makes it hard for them to hide.
Exactly. It creates this space where it's harder to be anything other than authentic, And for some people, that can be really uncomfortable.
Makes sense. And that ties into what the article says about people becoming truth magnets around you, right? They start spilling their guts and sharing things they wouldn't tell anyone else.
Yeah, that's definitely a common experience for people who are energetically sensitive.
And have you, noticed that yourself?
It happens, yeah. It's like your presence creates a safe space for them to be vulnerable. Like they can sense that you can handle whatever they throw at you.
Wow, that's quite a responsibility, I'd imagine.
It can be. And it's not always easy, The article also talks about how draining it can be to constantly be on the receiving end of everyone's emotional baggage.
Oh, right, of course. It can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
Definitely not. You have to learn how to manage your own energy to protect yourself from absorbing too much negativity.
So it's about finding a healthy balance, I guess.
Exactly. You have to be compassionate, but you also have to take care of yourself.
Right. Now, the article also mentions how high vibrational energy can disrupt negativity. If you walk into a room where everyone's gossiping and suddenly the conversation stops.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever experienced that?
I can't say that I have, but I can definitely imagine it.
It's like your energy raises the vibration of the whole room.
Yeah.
Negativity can't exist where there's light. It just can't thrive.
So it's not like I'm actively trying to shut them down or anything.
Not necessarily, no.
It's just that my presence naturally makes it harder for that negativity to stick around.
Exactly. And that could be a good thing, right? It creates a more positive environment.
For sure. But I guess some people might not like that, huh? Like if they're really clinging to that negativity, they might feel threatened by someone coming in and, you know, shaking things up.
That's definitely a possibility.
Interesting. So even without saying a word, my energy is kind of making a statement, huh?
Yeah.
Impacting people whether I realize it or not.
Absolutely. Even brief interactions can leave a mark. Someone might walk away from a conversation with you feeling totally different, and they might not even know why.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. So we've been talking a lot about how our energy affects others, but what about how it affects us? What's it like to actually experience the world with this heightened sensitivity? So we've been talking about how our energy, especially, this high vibrational energy, can affect others. But what about us? What's it actually like to experience the world with, this kind of sensitivity?
It's wild sometimes.
Wild good or wild bad?
A little bit of both, honestly. Like, imagine having all your senses dialed up,
Yeah.
Not just your physical senses, but like your intuition too.
Oh, wow.
You might walk into a room and just feel the energy before you even see anything.
Wow.
Or you just know how someone's feeling before they even say a word.
So it's like an extra sense almost, like a sixth sense tuned into, like the energy of everything.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The article calls it reading people deeply.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, body language or tone of voice.
Right.
It's about sensing their intentions, like what's really going on beneath the surface.
That's got to be intense.
It can be. The article talks about needing a lot of solitude to recharge.
Yeah,
Like, it can get overwhelming sometimes.
I bet. I mean, taking in all that information, all those feelings all the time, it's got to be exhausting.
It is. It's like, imagine a radio,
Yeah.
picking up signals from a million different stations all at once.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a mess.
Exactly. So you need that quiet time to, like, filter out the noise and just tune back into yourself.
Makes sense. So it's not about being antisocial. It's just about protecting your own energy.
Yeah, and sometimes that means relationships change. Some people might just fade away.
I can see that. Like, you're growing and changing, and they're not vibing with the new you.
And that could be tough, But it also makes space for new connections, deeper ones.
People who get it,
Yeah, people who resonate with your energy.
Totally. And the article also mentions, like, seeing patterns, synchronicities, having vivid dreams. Is that part of it, too?
Oh, for sure. It's like you're just more aware, more tuned in to the interconnectedness of everything.
Whoa. Like seeing the Matrix or something?
Kinda, huh? You start noticing all these little coincidences, these signs and symbols that seem to have meaning.
Yeah, like the universe is trying to tell you something.
Exactly. And it can be exciting, but also, well, the article's pretty honest about the challenges, like being in crowded places.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's got to be hard to handle all that energy swirling around.
It can be rough. Imagine being super sensitive to sound, and suddenly you're in a room full of, like, clanging pots and pans.
Ouch. Yeah, I get it. Sensory overload.
Totally. And it's not just crowds,
Yeah.
You can absorb the emotions of people you're close to, feel their stuff as if it were your own.
Whoa, that's a lot to carry. How do you even deal with that?
Well, you learn to set boundaries, Practice things like meditation, grounding, energy clearing.
Yeah, those are all important for sure. So it's like the article talks about embracing your light, right? But what if that light makes other people uncomfortable?
That's a good point. It's about finding the right balance. Recognizing who's receptive to your energy and who might need a little more space.
Right. So it's not about hiding who you are. It's about being, I guess, mindful of the impact you're having.
Exactly. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is just dial it back a little, give people time to adjust.
That makes sense. And I imagine it can be pretty lonely sometimes, feeling like you're experiencing the world so differently than everyone else.
It can be. The article actually talks about that. That's the sense of isolation.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like you're speaking a language nobody else understands.
Exactly. But the article also says that that loneliness can be a catalyst for growth, right?
Exactly. It pushes you to connect with yourself, to trust your own intuition.
To really own your unique way of being in the world.
Yes. And the more you do that, the more you attract people who resonate with that energy.
So it's like a journey of self-discovery and also a journey of finding your tribe.
Beautifully put. It's like, we've talked about how this energy affects others, the challenges, the gifts, but it all comes back to that, embracing who you are.
Powerful stuff. So if our energy can be this impactful, even without us trying, shouldn't we be trying to, manage it somehow? Like, is there a responsibility that comes with this?
That's a really good question. A really, really good question. That's a big question,
Yeah.
and it's something we all have to figure out for ourselves, I think.
I guess so, yeah. Like, okay, we know our energy is powerful and it affects people, so what do we do with that?
Well, the first step is just being aware of it.
Okay, yeah, awareness.
Like, the more you understand your own energy, the more you can choose, how you want to use it.
So it's not just about knowing how I'm feeling, but also how my energy might be affecting everyone else.
Yeah. Like, are people always coming to you with their problems?
Yeah, actually, I guess they kind of are.
Do you notice people's moods changing when you walk into a room?
I've never really thought about it, but maybe.
Those are all signs,
Yeah.
signs that your energy is having an impact.
Huh, interesting. So those are things to watch for, I guess. But what are the times when people seem to, like, pull away, like they're not into it?
Oh, yeah, that happens too. Not everyone is ready for that kind of high vibrational energy.
Right. It can be intense, for sure.
Some people might feel like you're, too much. Or they might just not be comfortable with that level of awareness.
So what do you do then? Like, do you try to tone it down?
Sometimes, yeah. It's about being compassionate and recognizing that not everyone is on the same journey.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not about hiding who I am. It's just about, like, respecting other people's space.
Exactly. And maybe,
Okay.
giving them a little time to adjust.
Just meet them where they're at. I get it. But still, it's got to be hard sometimes, right? Feeling like you're so different.
It can be lonely, yeah.
Like you wish other people understood what it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important to connect with yourself, to find that inner strength.
To really own your uniqueness.
Yes, because that's where your power comes from.
Yeah.
And, the more you do that, the more you'll attract people who get it,
Yeah.
who are on a similar path.
Like finding your tribe, your people.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes it all worth it.
We've covered so much in this deep dive. I feel like my head is buzzing with all these new ideas. What's the one thing you really hope people take away from all this?
If you're feeling that energy, that sensitivity, don't be afraid of it. Don't try to dim your light. The world needs you exactly as you are.
Love that. To all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of spiritual energy.